Hi, everyone. My name is Andrew White. Welcome to this week's crossover media feature. Our programmer of the week is Derrick Lucas. Hi, Derrick. Congratulations on being this week's selection.
Oh, thanks so much. It's an honor.
Absolutely. How long have you been at WGMC?
I've been with WGMC since 1989, so 26 years.
And so that's a phenomenal amount of time. In that time, would you say you've seen things change, and how so?
Oh yeah, seen some huge changes in the 25 years I've been on the station or at the station, going from the dawn of the CD era to now MP3s and everything in between. It's been an amazing just ride of just technology, how things have just completely changed because of technology and the uses that we have and at our disposal.
That's really super cool because I was sitting in my office thinking about the future of things like DVDs and MP3s and whatnot, and what the next iteration of that's going to be. So we all have to go out and buy our own copies of things
Yeah,
over and over again. I'm sure that's something you've thought about.
absolutely.
So at WGMC, how long have you been the music director?
I've been the music director 10 years.
Okay. And what does your average day consist of? Is there a day facsimile, or is it always changing? Is it always evolving? What would you say?
It's always changing. For most public radio stations like ourselves, uh, we all wear different hats. So, in addition to being the music director, I'm also the sales manager and promotions director as well.
Excellent. And so, with the rise of digital media and online presentations and things like that, how has your job and in what ways has it changed over the years?
It's changed in that in the old days being like 10 years ago, there was a gatekeeper. It was called the A&R person, artist and repertoire for most labels that had that. They would be the gatekeeper. That's gone now because of mergers and downsizing. So now the music director is now the gatekeeper, which means we were getting more music than we ever had before because now labels aren't sending as much, but independent people are independent producers, promoters, as well as artists themselves now can just work out of their own basement or garage or living room, create an album or a CD or an MP3 and send it to you directly, and you have to listen to it to ascertain whether it's going to work for your station or not. In the past, there was a record label to pretty much be that kind of wall or gatekeeper, so to speak. But now we're it.
Right. And especially with the technology that people have access to, they can kind of produce very high level material
Absolutely.
without the need of a third party or whatnot. Um,
Right.
would you say you have a consistent philosophy with regard to your local broadcast versus your online audience? Are they similar? Are they different in the way you approach the
Hmm.
platforms?
Interesting question. No, actually, I always look at it the same way. So, if the person listens to us traditionally, or through a telephone, or through an iPad, we look at it the same way. If it's a great song, it should be heard on all platforms at the same time.
Fair enough. Fair enough. In addition to your role as managing director, you also host a show called The Spectrum, which comes on every Sunday from 10 to 1. And
Correct.
interesting, the first recording you ever purchased was at the age of 4, called Spectrum,
Yeah.
and that was by Billy Cobham. Did you
Billy Cobham,
name the
correct.
Cobham? I'm sorry. Did you name the show after him?
I did, absolutely, in honor of that album, and I pretty much directed my life. That was the first jazz recording I remember ever hearing, and just literally changed my life and what I wanted to do. And somehow I wanted to be somehow connected to this music, either as a musician, a performer, producer, or a broadcaster. But I had to somehow be a part of this music because it was just so amazing, and I wanted to share that
That's
experience with
fantastic.
as many people as possible.
Would you say that this opportunity, this position that you have, has afforded you to fulfill that goal?
Yeah, absolutely. Every single day, I can't wait for the next day because there's so much great music that's coming to us every single day, and I can't wait to rip up a CD and listen to it or an MP3 and listen to it. And if I get that same feeling I had when I was a 4-year-old child, I want to share that with as many people as possible. So I'm always looking for new music and new ways to expose more people to the music as possible.
And there definitely is. I mean, I think this myself on a pretty regular basis. There's so many different types of music out there, especially now.
Oh yeah,
It's coming from everywhere. It's coming from all angles and all approaches, and it's really, really neat to be in this space where we have such access. I think it's very special myself.
it truly is because you think about it. I mean, where jazz is a niche product, but guess what? So is rap now. So is country. So is R&B. So is pretty much every single musical genre you can think of is now a niche because of the world of the iTunes and the iPad. People
Hmm.
generally don't listen to one kind of music. It's a shuffle, and so as long as people know where to find us in the shuffle, that's okay.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely, absolutely. Access is important. So regarding your schedule as MD, do you come in every Sunday to do your show live, or is it voice tracked, or how does that go?
My Sunday night show is live. It's 10 o'clock to 1 a.m. I'm on the air the rest of the week overnights, usually starting at 1 in the morning. That is taped mostly, and because I like to have a life. At least my wife likes to have a life. So I usually try to pre-tape that, but I'm trying to make it sound as live as possible. So sometimes you might hear mistakes, or you might try to make it sound as live like I'm right there in the studio, if at all possible.
Fantastic, because that's definitely a major commitment, and especially from those hours 10 to 1, it shows that you have to be on top of it, and you have to kind of have a team that also is as involved and as
Yeah,
agreeable as you are to getting the job done.
yeah.
Um, what are the biggest challenges of putting on a live show?
Well, the biggest challenges for me is it just depending on what do I want to talk about. Sometimes it might be around a birthday or a major milestone of an important jazz figure like Duke Ellington or Freddie Hubbard, Miles Davis. Generally, we'll do special shows around surrounding that. Sometimes I'll do my, let's say, there's an important artist coming to town, so I'll try to promote that show. Or I'll just say here, that's so much music I have to listen to. Let's all share it together. So I'll have, let's say, my favorite recordings of the past 6 weeks or 3 or 4 months, and we'll listen to it all in one night. So everybody gets a chance to listen to it together.
That's excellent. Now, I was reading that you're a five-time Jazz Week Programmer of the Year nominee. That's fantastic. And then in 2006, you actually won it. Can you tell us about Jazz Week and what the significance of it is? And also, for a jazz station to be on it, what does that tell the world about this particular station?
It tells me I need to update my website actually because so now since that's happened, I've been nominated 7 times and I won the award last year for the second time in
Congratulations.
2014.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Fantastic. So
that
what is
being
Jazz
yeah.
Week? Yeah.
Well, Jazz Week is a periodical that comes out every week directed toward people who do what I do, programmers and station managers and music directors from all over the world. And so it's a really prestigious honor to be thought of that highly by my peers to think that I'm doing a well enough job that I can be essentially awarded for something I'd be doing for free. Please don't tell my boss that. But
You have my
so
Scout's honor.
yeah, so it's really just it's really humbling and awe-inspiring thinking that people actually appreciate what you're doing. And we're all trying to do the same thing. We're trying to take jazz further, which is our station's motto, and we try to do it by just using anything at our disposal to make sure people know we're here. Second, that jazz is more than alive; it's kicking and it's killing. So we really want to make sure people know what's happening. And our whole focus, Jazz Week, is trying to expand the listening audience to jazz whether people want to hear the old classic stuff or the new stuff. We want to make sure that there's a platform for it as well as people know where to find it anywhere.
Fair enough. Now, you talk. It's interesting that you would say that because in terms of the audience, obviously you're dealing with a variety of age groups and a variety of perspectives on what jazz is, what music
Sure.
is, what's hot, what's not. And would you say, given that age difference, do you think there's a philosophical difference between what a Jazz Week reporter's perspective on jazz is versus what a CMJ College Music journalist definition is?
There shouldn't be, but there is because CMJ obviously will skew younger because their audience, by and large, would be a younger listening audience as a college listening audience traditionally, whereas Jazz Week will skew older. So I'm right in the middle. I'm in my mid 40s, so I'm a classic Generation Xer. Hate to use terms and titles like that, but there it is. So let's say at a Jazz Week conference, I'm usually the youngest guy there, or one of the youngest guys there. Most of the folks there are in their late 50s or in 60s and 70s and 80s in certain cases. So I'm still the kid. I'm still the baby. And
Fair enough.
so,
Fair
but
enough.
in
Wow.
CMJ, there are younger folks there who, at the top age level, probably my age, but most of them are younger, and they're always looking for ways to find edgier sounds and edgier ways to get to the music and expose the music. So we're right in the middle. So that being said, we try to take the best of both worlds, the CMJ world and the Jazz Week world. And so what we end up doing, we're pretty much a maverick in terms of our programming because most jazz stations traditionally don't have as much time as we do to broadcast jazz. We're about 160 hours per week. Most stations average about tap out around 24 to 36 hours per week. So that gives us the opportunity to actually expose more artists, and we can play artists like Snarky Puppy and Lettuce,
Fair
and
enough.
really, and so that's why we're really, really, really fortunate. We know we're fortunate, and we never take it for granted. We have the, ability to really stretch the spectrum of jazz, so to speak. No pun intended.
And do you think that that helps cater to your younger and older generation, so you kind of have a good group of folks that you can cater to at the same time, and not really leave
Absolutely.
anybody out? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the idea. I mean, in a perfect world, nobody's happy because we have a certain part of our audience. They want to hear Clifford Brown, they want to hear Miles Davis and Sarah Vaughan, the classics, and I love them. But you know what? Here's the thing: they're not coming to your town anytime soon. And if they do, I want to know for more reasons than one, obviously. But bands like, let's say, Cecile McLaurin Salvant or Aaron Deal, Roy Hargrove, I mean, Kamasi Washington, they can come and they will come to your town. And so our whole focus for our station is to get people out and see live music and see these folks in person because that's really what jazz is all about, the social experience. So that's really what we want to promote is for folks to find the new music and get out and see these amazing artists live.
Fair enough. And also in Rochester, and Rochester is a very special city because there's not too many cities that are known for their music programs. I mean, in New York, you've got Juilliard. In Cincinnati, you've got the College Conservatory of Music. You got Peabody near you as well. So you have the Eastman School of Music, and in
Correct.
general, Rochester is it's got a history of music. Would you say that that's palpable in the town? Do you feel the vibe of that in Rochester still?
Most definitely. Rochester is one of the few cities, I think one of maybe two or three in the country that have two 24-hour jazz stations. I mean, it's really staggering to think about that. It's because of the support stemming from the Eastman School of Music. Also, we're very fortunate that many of the high schools, I think all of them in our area, which is I think is like 20 high schools in the Rochester, greater Rochester area, all have jazz departments.
Cool.
And also we
Now,
have a jazz
also,
festival.
yeah, I was going to say you actually have a jazz festival coming up. How big of a role do you and your radio station play in that?
We have a small role. What we do is it's kind of like we're one big family because it's still small enough that we handle a lot of the radio, actually all the radio in terms of the interviews. We do a lot of promotion for it. Also, we interview the artists for the festival each and every day, and not just the main artists. We also interview the sidemen as well because we feel like they're just as important as the quote unquote stars of the show.
Well, that it's funny that you would say that because because that brings me to my next question, and this might be a little sensitive, but who are your
Sure.
top three? Who are you listening to right now?
Right now, funny you should mention that. Kamasi Washington, that's the brand
Okay.
new album that people are talking about, and he's getting a lot of buzz on NPR, and deservedly so. He's playing music you haven't really heard since the days of McCoy Tyner, the mid 1970s, and so he's harkening to that era as well as doing something so ambitious with a monster, what he's calling it the epic. So I've been listening to that a lot lately. Twin Danger is a band Crossover has been promoting lately, and it's a great, great concept of mixing the classic Sade sound with Vanessa Blay and putting those things together. So I've been listening to that. There's so much amazing music, ranging from D'Angelo to Kendrick Lamar to New Benny Green. And there's just every single day, it's just like we get a bouquet of flowers of great music. So that's just the things recently on my brain I've been thinking about lately.
Super cool. And if you were going to give somebody an album and you say, you know what, I know you don't know a lot about jazz, but I want to get you hip. I think you'll love this. What would you hand them?
Wow. I get asked this question a lot. So depending on my mood or the last thing I listen to, right now I would say if you are new to jazz, I would either go with I think the obvious answer is kind of Blue by Miles Davis, but I would actually for me the album that started with me was Miles Davis Miles Smiles. That's just an amazing album. That was the first Miles Davis album I ever listened to, and that just turned me on to the wonderful world of Miles, and I went from there. So I'd go with Miles Smiles, which is almost 50 years ago. So something current or something a little closer to home, I would probably go with Roy Hargrove's Ear Food. It's another great. Uh, if you're somebody right now looking to, if we're trying to expose, let's say, more people of color to jazz, I would start with that with Roy Hargrove Ear Food, just because it's someone they know, someone who's still alive, and they can actually relate to that sound as well as that kind of feel.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for that. And as far as you mentioned that there's another 24-hour jazz station in Rochester, which is kind of odd and abnormal in terms of the overall jazz scene from city to city. Do you,
Yeah.
and outside of that, do you monitor other jazz stations to see what's going on with them?
Absolutely. Part of the focus of Jazz Week is that we're essentially so as one family. Because I think give or take, there's maybe 25 to 35 jazz stations left in the country, and there's only maybe less than maybe a handful who do what we do as in terms of 24 hours a day or being full time. So we monitor each other's music playlists. So and on the Jazz Week site, we each day we see everybody's playlist and what they're playing, what's trending, so to speak. So we all stay in tune on what's happening.
Fantastic. Well, I wanted to thank you very much for your time today, and congratulations on your selection as this week's Media Crossover featured programmer. It's been an excellent conversation,
Well,
and you can
thank you.
go, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And for those of you listening, please check out this week's Hangout on Crossover Media, their YouTube page, and we have lots of great artists, and we have interview material available for download on Crossover Media SoundCloud page. Both pages can be linked at our website, crossovermedia.net, and that begins with www. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Thank you so much, Derrick.
Thank you. One more thing before we go. Also, if you are an artist looking at this, please feel free to send your music to Derrick, Derrick, at jazz901.org or to jazz901.org because we're always looking for new artists who are trying to make their voices heard. So again, please feel free to send it right to us because we'll always listen.
Thank you so much. And we'll probably try to see you in Rochester for that jazz festival.
Oh, please do.
Take care.